Hello and welcome to the Sorare Andrew Show. I am Andrew Laird. You can find me as Lairdinho on Sorare. Joined today, not by Andy Black. I just realized that every week I'm like joined, as always, by Andy Black. But nope, no Black today. We've got Quinny. And I just told Quinny before we started, I was like, today's usually Sorare Andrews. You're here. Andy's not here. But like, I'm going to play the music anyway. And he was like, get it. Let's go. I was like, let's go. Quinny, thanks for coming in.
Unofficial Andrew for the day. I'll carry the honour. I'll do my best.
My favorite thing was that you commented a minute ago that you were like, I didn't have anything on my channel today. And when I asked you, you were like, yeah, I don't have to do anything to get ready for this. So sure, why not?
Easy one for me.
Easy one. Easy one. Thanks, everyone, for coming in. Major NFT, Malky and Stefan on the podium. Congratulations to you three. Sean Thorpe, just short. Oh, well. Tuggy, what's up? Look at this. About time we get a real Thursday co-host. Shots fired.
Anyway. Shots fired, indeed. Across the bow.
Soraburo, what's up? Anyon, I'm going to address this right here. The Super Clash competition is not in the Sorare Data Lineup Builder. We are aware of it, and they're not going to put it in. Same with the, what's the other one? Super defensive special, whatever the hell. Yeah. That one breaks everything because it doesn't follow the goalkeeper, defender, midfielder, forward, extra thing. And so that doesn't work. And the Super Clash had a similar reason. Actually, I believe the Super Clash wasn't able to be exported. And for the number of people who use the export button now, it was like, do we want to break the export button or just not include this comp? So thank you for sending that along. But unfortunately, I can't help you. I mean, actually, I was never going to be able to help you myself, but that's a whole nother thing. Anyway, Mikey Baston, what's up? Toby. Ooh, how about this? John Andrew Quinn. John Andrew. Yeah, all right. Rikamon, what's up? Ricardo, yeah, ultra defensive. That's right. Is that two goalies?
Yeah.
Yeah. And three defenders.
Yeah. I thought it was Park the Bus, but yeah, ultra defensive sounds right as well. Yeah. Oh, it says both of them.
Really?
Park the Bus, ultra on the little graphic tile they've got.
Let me see here.
Have
you made any crazy all-star line? Is that what they say? Wacky, crazy, something with all-star.
Yeah, I think I did. Did actually. I made a fun one. You'd like it a lot, Laird. It is I've got a lot of beautiful teams this week in terms of like collections that kind of meld together and players that are in wacky places or whatever. But for All-Star, my wacky team I've got is 2 in-season Celtic cards. They don't play for Celtic this year. Lager BLK, greater than Buscagli, as we know, and Mikey Johnson, the forward card. And then the 2 guys with them is Kawasaki Frontale's own Ryo Hitate and Eo Tanaka. So I've got this lovely 2 guys in a packet, 2 condoms, and 2 Kawasaki Legends for All-Star.
I love it. That's why we play. That's why we play.
Totally.
Yeah. So you did a video yesterday about missions?
Yes.
Did that come out yesterday? I don't know. Timing was impeccable. But I watched, I'm only 12 minutes in. I couldn't finish it before we had to start. But it seemed like there were a lot of people who were quite excited about the missions thing. And even the negative comments about missions was not necessarily negativity about missions, but it was like, oh man, it would be great. It's too bad they didn't do rare, or like, it's too bad they didn't. And it's like, it's the first day. Let's settle down here. Like they said they would do more. And so the general excitement about that, and the people who are like, oh, I guess I'll have to like check Sorare every day, as if we're like not already doing this. But this kind of excitement about doing something every day was in total contrast to a conversation that I had with Keith, Gator Guy, earlier this week, that he's not necessarily bored right now, but he went through this period, like obviously leading up to MLS, where he basically redid a ton of his gallery, got all these super rares, is buying all the in-season cards. And he's kind of in this part now where it's like, okay, I have my cards. Now I just like play them every week. And he was actually kind of lamenting the reward process now that he mostly plays for cash, and it's just like not exciting to if you don't even open anything, you just refresh your wallet and there's cash. And it was this weird kind of dichotomy this week for me of, oh, this is really exciting, we have these missions that we do every day, and this other one, like, well, I'm just setting lineups and waiting for my cash to hit. And it kind of brought me to this question of like, for some people there's so much to do on Sorare, and like now the missions are even more. And then there are people, I hate to like put it like this, like people like Keith who are like, I'm just going to keep playing my cards, I guess. Where do you, obviously you were very excited in your video about these missions, but you tend to fall on that side.
Yeah, so I'll come back to like the Keith part of it a little bit, because I think with with that kind of like, one of the things I love about Keith is he is like the poster child of like a certain Sorare user, if you know what I mean. Like he is like nth degree on like an atypical like gallery in some cases, you know, and he's got proper like worker bee vibes, in the sense of like he always wants to be building something, always wants to be, you know, like hustling a card in and out, wants to be putting a new team together, and everyone will get this at some point. But there does come a point where that stops. You literally have every card you want, you know, or you know, like any card you don't have, like it's like, oh well, I need to deposit a tenner to make that happen, or you know, like it's no. And then if that's if the worker bee part of it is like the main kind of fun, like starting from zero, building it out, making sure, finding the finding the fixtures, finding the guy that's underpriced, you know, doing all that fun work, all the legwork, and then, oh, look at what I've got, and you know, then you get up the leaderboard from it. Then like everyone does get to that point at some point, and then it's not necessarily like it gets boring or whatever, but doing that is like very engaging, and it's very immersive, let's say, because you're looking at who owns the cards, and you're looking at how many offers you've had out, and like, okay, well, I've only got X amount in my budget, and I need to stretch that over 5 players, but it's only really going to get 3. What 3 did I get this week? What 2 did I leave to next week? Oh, that guy scored. He's been up in price. So that guy's getting an injury. Why did I buy him yesterday when I could have, you know? And you know, and it's a very, like I say, immersive is probably the word when you're doing all that stuff. It's very like wraparound, and then anything by comparison just feels like slow. You know, because you're waiting for football to happen. You're waiting for the game week to roll. You know what you're getting. Rewards aren't a surprise, really. It's not like you go, where did I finish in the leaderboard, you know, on Tuesday night? You know, so I get all that stuff. And I think like one of the reasons I'm really excited about what this mission's hot streaks, this little kind of arm that they're building into it, is that it kind of gives you a little taste of that. In a kind of random way, daily kind of setup of, obviously, because I went and got, not to spoil the video, but I went out and I got some essence. I went and done the thing I went and did the dance to do that for a bit of fun and for a giveaway and whatever. But those little things, like just even those individual ones that we've already seen sight of already, they give people that little taste of being Keith for a couple of days, you know, like if something pops up and it's like, oh, I've got a collection that's at 40 points and I could da-da-da, and then, you know, whatever, they'll come up with other stuff that'll be more imaginative and whatever. But it's if you don't have that big a budget, or you've not been bitten by the bug to go and be the worker bee Keith and do all that, look at the fixtures and da-da-da, do all this stuff, well, opening your phone and going, oh, well, who can I find to fit this for 50p, you know, that could be a bit of fun, you know, kill a bus ride or a train journey.
I love that whole analogy or description of it. It's funny because I was even thinking from somebody like Keith's perspective, where like you do all this work and then it's like, okay, now I need to go play my cards. But then when you get to that point of like, oh man, I need like one more piece, at that point you're almost like upset that you need the piece, because you're like, I just did all this work and I still need another one. And then it's like that final piece is not quite like, you're not excited about it because you're like, you almost feel like you're fixing a mistake. But the missions, because like we don't know what they are ahead of time, like there's no calendar of like, oh, in 3 weeks we're gonna have to get all of our Serie A cards and stuff like that. It is kind of like this fun, these like fun little adventures that we go on every night.
I just caught a glimpse of the chat there. Sorry.
I do agree with this part with Mike, though, from before. He said, even though it didn't actually mean anything, I did find opening the cash rewards in card form better than what we have now. There just seems to be no recognition of you winning the cash.
It's like you're getting that wee handshake, You know, the guy on the, you're just like, he's just passing you the money. You know, you're
Yeah.
just like,
Yeah.
it's,
Nobody sees that. Nobody look. Here
yeah,
you
what money? It's in your
go.
wallet. What are you talking about?
How deep do you think these missions are going to go? Like, they describe them as game week missions, but then they also kind of hinted at, or did they hint at daily, or did they actually say that there were going to be daily ones?
There wasn't much of a write up about it. I went to in the video see if there was an actual bloggy bit about it, but it was just the little pop up announcement that came on page and whatever tweet they put out. I'm not too sure. I don't think so. The missions thing that we've got right now, they did say that they're going to tweak it so you'll get it for whatever scarcity you play in.
Yeah.
So I could see limited devolving into. If you think about rivals, we used to get you'd get the rival boxes that would refresh every 24 hours, and then you'd have like your 3 in a row thing or whatever, which would run kind of constantly.
Yep.
I think limited will probably boil into that, where there's maybe something that runs about a week or about a month if it's a bigger one, and then every day there'll be random 8 that just kind of flip around depending on what ones you've done and not done. But with rare and super, if they do it into the blues and the blacks, it might be. And again, I think this is just the first little tab. If you look at that little page, that little section of the page it's got where you can just click between hot streaks and let's see that little
Right?
there. Yeah. For me, that's going to get up to about 6 things by the next European season. You know, there'll be like hot streaks for MLS. Maybe there'll be European hot streaks. Maybe they'll obviously get the game week ones, the game week mission. They'll come up with another 3 or 4 things. You know, maybe one of them is a monthly threshold, or maybe one of them is like a weekly something or a daily something. You know, and I think as much as SO5, the leaderboard and everything will be still the game, there will be people that really get 90% of their turn, maybe out of this, boxes and essence and whatever,
I scrolled down here and they did say daily missions will soon join them, which I assume is this first icon here. That you can't even click on here. It's really funny because I never got into Top Shot, and the reason there were tons of reasons, but one of the things I always thought was kind of, I'll just use the word interesting. The reason I liked Sorare was you won based on, mostly based on what happened in real life on a football pitch. And so fantasy sports was always I always understood fantasy sports and that was fine. And Top Shot had this much more of a collector game to it of collect these guys and this is what you win. And I was always well, that's why I don't play Top Shot. Cause all it is just a cute card or moment accumulation. I'll just get as many moments. And then if I don't have the right ones, then somehow you get the others. I don't know. I assume people traded them and it really wasn't overly interesting to me. But then the introduction of collecting type stuff on Sorare, I got it. I understood it. It is I was collecting stuff that's Ren collection. There was no overly important thing for me to do in that one. But once you start collecting, you start building, you get, maybe not everybody gets this way, but I have I just want to complete it. You don't start something to not complete it, even though I literally still have not completed the Ren collection, but
close, but getting closer.
Very close. I have one left, literally one left. But I do wonder how much of the game, it feels like a lot, or Sorare pushing us more into ways to participate on the site without playing SO5 at all.
Yeah. And I think that this will be familiar to a lot of people as well, because I didn't play Ultimate Team for a huge length of time, maybe 3 years or something like that. And it was a number of years ago at this point. But when I started playing Ultimate Team, maybe it was new, maybe it'd been around or whatever, but they had a companion app, is what it was called. And literally, this daily missions, there was stuff like that in it. It was log in every day and you'll get a bronze pack. And the bronze pack's obviously always crap and full of nothing, but maybe those bronzes, you use them in a squad builder thing to discard them for other stuff later on. And there would be stuff like that, I can't remember what they were, but buy a chemistry or sell a something on the app, and they would give you some coins or whatever. I don't know. I can't remember what it was, but it would be part of my routine, where I knew every day it would time in, and then once you've done it once, then the 24-hour clock resets. Right, well, when I'm coming home from work at 3 o'clock, it will time in. So I'll always just do that when I leave the office or I get on the train or the bus or in the car or whatever. And I think whatever the benefit is of having that like engagement from the user base, like this will do a great job of that, because Essence XP, I'm not sure how high people will get for that, but the Essence, like I got that Essence for like £4.80, which is not too bad going, is it?
Could be a star.
Could be. I looked at it more as like some, because any limiteds I craft, I give away to my channel members, and I kind of looked at it as like I've paid a fiver to eliminate tier 5s.
Isn't it? Oh,
so I'm going to go up.
Oh,
I'll just use that.
Yeah. That makes sense. I mean, we are getting to the point. You're not like buying Essence, but we're certainly getting. I mean, I guess it kind of reminds me of what was it? Oh, in Rivals, when like if you needed a ticket, it was like if you just bought a card off the market, you got 3 tickets, and so they are finding ways to kind of reward you for, or excuse me, ways that you can buy the things that like can't be bought. Arena, Rivals tickets and XP and Essence, but if you got the Essence and you get a really, really good card, and then you're like, what else am I going to do with this? And then you're just well on your way. I love it. I think it's great. It's just great.
Yeah, I'm a fan. So, and I think lots of people happily spend a fiver to get 20 Essence to kill a train ride or a bus ride or whatever they're doing in the morning to head to work. Like that's fun, And I was a bit annoyed when I done it, but I seen it says in the top of the screen that the game week, the thing doesn't start until the game week starts. So I'm waiting for. Do you wait for this Essence to come and hold the cards now?
Yeah. These damn K-League cards. The funny thing is that I found someone who was like not as excited about was it an own goal or an error led to goal one? Whatever the.
Yeah, error led to goal.
Yeah. And they were like, that's just like luck. And it was like, well, yeah, like you have to have some of that. Like you can't have these things only reward people who can go out and buy a couple cards or whatever it is. Like
totally random.
Although I am seeing here, it says prepare for the next game week, which is an MLS collection.
Ooh, jackpot. Where they got one? Oh, not unlimited. Wonder how cheaply we could do that.
I think they did say anyone with the collection already. Like you don't have to buy the collection in a game week.
Yeah.
So that's a positive.
That's good, yeah. And again, if you know it's coming up and like you have one card missing, you're just gonna go get it.
You're just gonna go get it. Yeah. Rickamon said they still do the 1 bronze pack a day over on Ultimate.
There you go. Aye.
Mike said, do you think they made it K-League because they were the worst selling cards price-wise, i.e. boost their prices?
I think everything is just test, isn't it? They did it like last year when they introduced in-season and classic. The first in-season comp was K-League in Japan. They were the first ones that got in-season and done everything. And it's very clear how MLS is going to be like a bit of a trailblazer for new things when the new European season comes. So I don't really look at it. I just think like JK and MLS are guinea pigs. Like that's what they are right now. Like let's test them all. Let's test all the shampoo, all the makeup. Let's just test all the stuff on these little guinea pigs and make them look as good as we can, or hope none of them die.
In fairness, it feels like the fairest way to do it because they have tons of supply. And I feel like if they were giving out, like if they were doing something that made people feel like they were being forced to buy Challenger and Champ cards with very little utility left, they'd be a little upset about it.
Fair, yeah.
People can't be happy. So
that's it. They've read the room. They know the room so well now,
I do think that it has nothing to do with like how K-League cards are selling. Because I don't think anyone's going out and spending a ton to get this stuff.
No.
Like, I don't think that you would even notice a dip, or notice any sort of blip in the revenue chart based off of this one. But I don't know. Rickamon said the best is that it's neutral Essence as well.
Yeah. It's always good when that's the case.
Always
They've
helpful.
obviously worked. They've obviously cracked the code of how to control essence and to make sure they don't want to like overextend on cards and stuff like that. You know, so I think it's kind of good that they like to keep this stuff as neutral essence because they must obviously have the rest of it quite tightly kind of wound for making sure they don't run out of cards at some
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. It is nice just in respect to that. I guess what I'm thankful for is that it has been corrected positively, and it's not like they did this like what felt like an extreme nerf from previously, and then they were like, "Nope, this is actually it." Like they actually did like recognize that maybe, or that they could be a little more aggressive with it, and they are doing that instead of just like the when it felt like all I won was one essence every 3 game weeks, and now it feels like we're all getting like multiple people I've heard from that are like, does it feel like we're getting a lot more? And it's like, yeah, it sure does.
Makes me think when you say that as well. Like, what's the fixed essence? Is it like 4? That's like the kind of small amount at rare, isn't it? I wonder what that would be in the new season now that they know everything and they won't have the mistakes to make next time. So it must be more than 4, or maybe it is 4. I don't know, but it could be more essence next year. You know, for
It
sure.
could be, yeah.
Like,
Do you think that they're going to follow the MLS path of not rewarding tier 3, 4, and 5 cards and just doing essence?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's like because the first thing I thought of when they made that change is that what they've just guaranteed right now is every single card reward opening that goes onto the timeline is going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like in terms of like the cosmetics, the visuals of it all.
Yeah, yeah.
So I like that. I also like. I think you guys brought it up here somewhere with one of the shows, but it really is. If everyone's yanking it at tier 5+, who can really scrutinize the tier pool anymore? Really, like you know, like everyone's pissing in the wind at that point and trying to work out what direction it's blowing in. Uh, um, so yeah, like I don't see why they wouldn't. I think that there is a strong argument. Like Harry was probably the most vocal with it. Like getting it down to tier 2 maybe, but yeah, I think they're going to probably hang on tier 1s. But I would like to think maybe the MLS treatment, as it were. Would I be surprised if they kept it for the league specific comps and kept the regions kind of as we know them? I probably wouldn't be too surprised at that, and maybe make that a league kind of centered thing, perhaps.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. What do you do about champ?
Well, it's just a region, isn't it?
Yeah, but
if
like
you were to,
like you're gonna have 3 like single league comps that so like the only place to win tier 4 and 5 champ cards is in champ. I guess you would craft them.
yeah, low divisions and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because they're still good cards. Like tier 2 and champ should be that's a good reward to win. Contender tier 2 is just as much of a Russian roulette as any other tier, really, isn't it? And challenger, I've not really won anything at challenger for a while to comment, but not too far off the same as contender, is it?
The contender star pool can be ugly, so I can't imagine
Yeah.
what tier 2 looks like. There still are some people who have the how is this a tier 2 conversation, but I don't know. Let's see. Ade said, looks to me like the minimum buy it now prices have all been bumped up to. Used to get some for 82p. Now it's at least double that. I actually noticed that today because when I was trying to clean up some of my collections, my European collections, there were a bunch that I could get for like $1. Actually, let me double check if that's the case. But I noticed that, like I noticed it today, that a lot of them are, yeah, like the lowest one for me now is $2.16. And I was kind of wondering if it was a Thursday thing, like a day before the deadline, and they just like bump everything up. But that's just the conspiracy. But like these are the cheapest buy it now cards available. And it's like $2.16.
Look after the pennies and all that. Like it's what that reminds me of a little bit is I used to work for a short time after I had my first kid in car sales. I only did it for a little while. I didn't. It wasn't the sort of atmosphere for me. Let's call it like that. But it's a big place in Scotland. It's quite big in Europe and all that. It's called Arnold Clark. And one of the things about them, they told me about when I started there, was like every car price was a 5 at the end. So 12,995, 21,995, whatever. And he died when I was there. Like, he died, and someone else, like the son took over or the board took over or whatever. And the first thing they did was turn that 5 into a 9. And instantly, like, they've got millions of cars. But just by doing that, adding on £4 onto however many cars, it just like increased the value of the company and all sorts of stuff. Like a sizable number. It wasn't anything too small. But when you're talking about, when you highlighted that, that's the first thing that popped into my head, is that's going from like turning a $1 card into $2, and like people still pay $2 anyway, won't they, for the most part? What's the difference between 1 and 2?
I did not.
For the most part, you know.
Toby said it's been €199 the entire week, or at least since Tuesday. So, and Tuggy said you're way too nice to be a car salesman.
Yeah, it didn't last long. It was not my, it wasn't my kind of place. Like, I was just the hardest working person there, if I can be honest with everyone. And then it's an environment where like there was a guy there, not a word of a lie, his name was Bob, and he's been there for like 25 years. And if Bob has ever sold somebody a car before, if they come back in, they're Bob's. Never mind if I've hustled them, I've spoke to them. Let's get in the car. Let's da-da-da. Oh, what a nice day. Da-da-da-da. Sorry, Jonathan. That's Bob's customer. Bob always deals with them. And it's like, all right, cool. And then, so what does the new guy do when everyone's been there for like eternity? You know what I mean? Do we just imagine people out of thin air for me to deal with, or what do we do? You know. So anyway, maybe too nice.
We're all for the better that it didn't work out for you, to be honest.
Yeah, probably.
Rigamon said they raised it because everybody got the $5 credit.
Oh, yeah. So it's kind of, yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Did you use yours?
I did. What did I got? I got a $5 or something. I kind of degened on Friday over the weekend because I won $100 and I had nothing good to spend it on. So I was like, let's just run around and spend it on anything.
My favorite was that it was like a best of Europe. Enjoy best of Europe. Here's $5. And then I bought River Plate cards with them.
I think mine went towards my in-season Sebastian Lletget. Rare. I think.
Just what they designed it for. Right there. So, Quinny, I have a gameplay question for you, or really a strategy question for you. I've been building this River Plate collection for a couple days now. Yeah. I'm currently at 4%. They don't even have that good of a matchup this weekend. Like, they're okay. It's an okay matchup. They're away. And like I could, well, now that it's $2, for $12 more, I can get it to 5% for this weekend, or I don't do that and I just see if I could get something cheap over the international break. What should I do?
I was just waiting to double check the fixture because I've got a River guy or two. I'm not sure if they're playing, but and they're away or at home?
They're away. River Plate's away.
River's away. See, I don't mind away. I know this channel's a pure homer town, but I don't mind away, especially for, that's away. I know that team's 5th, but it's early in the season, isn't it? I've never heard of them.
Let me see if I can find some. Well, I mean, they'll be in the. Actually, I don't know if we have them in the lineup builder yet.
I always put these questions back to myself in a roundabout way, in the sense of like, would I pay the £12 to not regret not doing it?
Oh, that's a sneaky way to put it.
You know, like, is it worth, just buying no regret? Will I be annoyed I didn't buy this super rare for £800 tomorrow? Okay, so let's just do it.
So he said 63% chance to win, 55% clean sheet.
That's tasty. Yeah, that team, I've never heard of them, so I don't know why they're 6th. Restart away is different. I've never heard of them. I don't know how to be scared of that, but fair enough.
Here we go. They play in such a low block at home with their tiny pitch. The CB gets no AA.
Montiel season.
Montiel and Acuna.
Fullback season.
That's Josh, not Jay. No chance for long balls. That seems okay. Shouldn't everybody be on one side of the pitch anyway? Or is the pitch so small they can't even fit? It's like New York City FC.
Yeah, so I was going to say, it gives me NYC vibes thinking about it being like an unusual, like crammed pitch or whatever. And that can be really good for fullbacks because they just don't lose possession as much because they're maybe a bit more possession focused because it's not like they're out wide swinging balls in. They're just like to the side, a little bit because the pitch isn't that big. So
And like
yeah,
you don't even need a long ball to get a pass into the final third because it's so short anyway.
exactly. Aye.
Damn it.
Chanot and Callens used to love that game back in the day when NYC were good.
Back when they were good, yeah. The good old
Back
days.
in the day, back in the good old days. We'll get there again. Get there. We've got a proper manager again, proper coach, so that'll happen. But I would do it if like is the non-regret worth £12? I would just do it.
It almost always is.
Yeah. Especially if you've got the balance sitting there.
Like I have all the good players from the collection that I think I need. So it's really like the overpaying for the bad cards.
Yeah, fair. Let me have a wee gander, a wee peek. But yeah, those cards are never fun to buy. It is kind of ripping the plaster off most of the time anyway with them. We're just like, let's just get it.
Like a bunch of them are at this, for me, $2.16 minimum for the instant buy. And I'm looking at others. Like, how do you feel about buying a card for $2.16 from Sorare when the secondary market is selling them for 55 cents?
I would only do that with market credits. I wouldn't actually pay the £2 personally. I'm too tight.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And I have to do it 6 times. I don't think I have. I think I spent all my market. Yeah, my market credits are gone.
But I'm looking at the collection here. So yeah, you need another 140 points.
Yeah,
and I'm guessing you've done all the heavy lifting for this already. But yeah, some of the guys aren't that bad. You're missing, like in theory, Solari and Simon and Kranovic.
But I'm just never playing them.
Yeah, fair. The problem with these being limited as well, right, is something I've kind of been running with this year is like, because I've not had limiteds for so long, like all of those guys that you're going to buy these limited, I buy those rares and play them at limited. Whereas with limited, you've not really got that kind of trapdoor to at least get that rant. Oh, he scored 80 out of nowhere, like at least I've made benefit from it somehow. Kind of chance. So, well, limited it is a little bit harder, but they are so much cheaper that they are kind of like a disposable purchase, right. I think.
So you said, I believe there was a time when you or Keith were like 1 point away from a much bigger payday. Don't let $12 kill a bigger win.
Yeah.
You're arguing the toss over $10. Not 10, Mike, it's 12.
It's an interesting one, but it's a harder choice when it's this or that, so if you only have £12 in the wallet and there's like a rare defender that makes a team a wee bit better, then that's what to do. But yeah, if it's just to do it or not do it, it feels like you're in the deep end already. What's $12 going to do?
Yeah, it is kind of a funny, like, it sounds so dumb when I say this all out loud. Because, like, if you told me at the beginning of the season, or, I mean, this basically is early in the season for them, but it's like if you told me at the end of the season, like, is there a difference between winning $800 and $788? I'd be like, no, it's $12. And it's like, yeah, $12. And I'm like, oh yeah, all right, I'll do it.
Is there a way you could buy them off the secondary market but buy more of them, so you don't just get like the minimum crappers? You maybe get some of the halfway okay guys in as well, because the difference is like quite steep there for some of them.
So I need to buy 14 cards from the secondary market, and there are 13 cards left in the collection. But like I theoretically could get
one of them, like
a couple. Yeah, get all the ones that are at 58 cents, 56 cents, 6. So if I got those 3, man, I think I could. I don't need the whole collection too. Like I have all the cards that I want. And so like I actually don't care about completing this collection. I just want 5%.
Just want
Sean
the
said there are a
extra
bunch of
kick.
River Plate on auction right now. Yeah, I was bidding on some and lost out on some.
Nothing more scissor. Leave me alone.
Like deciding whether to have a dessert or not on a meal in a restaurant. Get the cheapest from primary, the expensive ones from the secondary. I have all the expensive ones now that I would want. I just have this thing in my head that I don't want to pay $2 for a card I'll never use. For 6 cards I will never use.
We'll just buy all those ones for 50p. And then...
So now you're arguing over $7 with the secondary. Back to the topic here, a quick second. Jacob said, seems like there's quickly becoming too much to do in Sorare.
I don't know if there's too much, is there? Because, like, it's a game. Like, you know, like...
Nobody said you have to do the missions.
Yeah.
You forget a day, you forget a day. Until they announce the mission of complete 100 missions in a row. And you're like, damn it.
Log in every day this week at
Yeah.
1 p.m. and it's never it's one of those ones where, like, the game has been crying out for more, like, passive engagement, or, like you say, something that's just not centered around the game to plug in and play with. Like, if I'm on a stream, if you're on, I said bus and train to work about 1,000 times already today, so I'll say it again. If you're doing something, you just want something you can pick up your phone and tap into a little bit in terms of, like, the game. Can you make your collections a bit better? Is there a wee mission you can tap into? And yeah, like, because I've obviously got a lot of kind of ties to Sorare in terms of, like, group chats and people I speak to and doing shows like this or whatever. But again, like, so many people that are listening to this right now probably are just players of Sorare, probably don't know anyone else that plays Sorare personally, you know. So it can be quite it can be this kind of relationship, you know. And there's only so much time you can spin your card around, you know, before you need something else to do with it, you know. Yeah, so bring it on.
Yeah. Jacob, I wasn't, like, calling you out here saying this title suggests
no,
there could be too much.
Chatting.
Like, so what's funny is I think there is a way where you could play where it becomes too much easily, and or at least it's so much that it takes up your takes up maybe more time than you want. But, like, I feel like Sorare's is more accessible to people with any amount of time now. Like, it's easy to play with little time. You know, if you have 2 lineups, then you just focus on MLS, or if you want to focus on absolutely everything, or you want to do that and be a trade, like, there's a ton of things that you can do if you want to keep going. I do kind of look at it from another way of, it felt like the Sorare kind of rotation was use Sorare data Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, like, and then on the days where you need cards, you go to Sorare, or like, I know a lot of people, like, will build their lineups on Sorare, you know, they'll do all of their research on Sorare, and I wonder if this is just like a way of, like, hey, spend a little more time over here.
Yeah, well, that's where you buy the cards, isn't it?
Right.
That's
that's the important part.
Is.
That's how you get the cards.
Yeah.
Rickman said, Sorare is a bit like Ultimate Team, where you can either do everything or just do what you want. And I think that's a great explanation of it.
Yeah. Especially as well with, like, everyone that now is very, like, in-season focused, and rightfully so, for, like, just in terms of, like, how this year has went, and any, like, older players that have been tuning into these shows for a while. Like, when everything's changing, it's straight away, it's like that kind of, that Keith mode comes on everyone, and it's like, right, got to fix my gallery, got to sort everything out. But, like, you were kind of chatting about it on here as well this week, but, like you say, it can roll out into so many different angles of approach, this game. Like, I was buying a bunch of classics again this week as well, because some of them were just too cheap. I was like, oh, why not? I won't spoil it, because I maybe mentioned it in that video you've yet to finish, Laird. But I kind of ran around and did a wee bit of that. And yeah, it's one of those ones where, like, just like FIFA or Football Manager or any other kind of football game, like, how much you want to tap into it is really That's the thing that I've always been super excited about Sorare is it really it should be the deepest of football games
Yeah,
potentially. You know, like for how much you can uncover and how like it's funny, right? I'll say this here because this is a safe space, right?
of course.
But I do a lot of Celtic content, a lot more over this year than before, right? And I go on other Celtic channels, one that I run and one that one or two that I guest on or whatever. And anyway, there's a guy in one of them, right, who like lives in Japan, right? Like lives in Japan, knows a bit about J League, knew a wee bits and bobs as some J League players went from Japan to Celtic or whatever, right? And he was on one today, and when I listened to them saying like, "Oh, Liam, you knew Dyson Maeda was a striker before he came to Celtic," or you know, like I hear all this stuff, and I'm like, number one, I'm quite certain I knew way more about these people, like way more about Kyogos and Dysons and Hitates.
Yeah.
I had Dyson, I had all these, I had majority of these cards, and you know, I actually went in. This is where did I start with this? Oh yeah, how deep you want to kind of go with it. Um, but I went onto my channel, right, and I typed in J League and like, 6 videos came up or something like that, right, and they're like super old. And see the very first J League scouting video I did, Tomoki Iwata is a centre back for Tokyo or Yokohama or some rubbish team, and I'm like, oh, this guy's got really good underlying stats. He could play in midfield and da 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 da, and he was a defender card. I'm going to maybe dig out the rest of them, but with So Rare, that's kind of the thing I think a lot of people get drawn into is you can go as deep as you want on this. Like you can go into the J League and find like these guys that might just do better in their own domestic thing, and like we've seen with MLS and J League around the time they come on to So Rare, there was like a golden generation of youth players, and then they go around the world, and that's a big part of So Rare as well. Is like knowing like or following your guy. Like I knew this guy would make it, or when they get a big transfer like Tanaka scored last night for Leeds in the 90th minute or something. I'm like, fucking yes, AO, here we go, Premier League time. Get your ticket, son. You know, and I'm buzzing for him. Hopefully, make it to the big time kind of thing. So, and I think that you know resonates with a lot of football fans that they want to see, they want to be able to follow players, they want to be able to know. I knew this guy was going to make it, or I knew this guy was a player. I've been here's and so their cards are. I always imagine them in a way as well of being your receipt, so that like in that situation of like you know, we're talking about Celtic players coming from Japan, like I should be getting my Hitate card out, going. Well, this is my receipt from 4 years ago,
Yeah, yeah,
before Ange
yeah.
was even Celtic manager. You know, so you know, it's just a chest puffing football fan thing. You know, it's not anything beyond that. But Liam, the man I mentioned, knows his stuff. Is a great guy to listen to. Writes a great blog and all the rest of it. So no, nothing untoward in that sense. But that's what's so rare. That's something that I've always loved about so rare is you can get in as deep as possible for no real reason other than you want to.
So I talked about which card was it that I got? Oh, it was the Aurelian Chouameni Monaco card that I got recently, and it was like, or you look at the Ren collection, and you're just like, there are players that people know from their current teams that were in this collection and had no idea that they ever played for Ren. Like people are like, oh, like Doku, maybe they knew, but like everybody's like, oh yeah, Camavinga, he's from, you know, Real Madrid's Camavinga. And it's like, oh, where do you play before? I don't know, somewhere else. And it's just like things like that. That's why I like this. Mathis Tell, like everyone's like, oh, from Bayern. And it's like, no, he's from Ren. He's from Ren. And being able to like what you said before is perfect. These are my receipts that I knew this, that we knew this stuff beforehand. And not to say that I've had Camavinga since he was at Ren, but it completely opens, and this isn't something that Sorare can use as like a marketing tool. Be like, hey, do you want to know more about football than anyone you know? Because it's like, you'll be signing up for that. But just playing the game, you end up knowing so much more than you ever would. And like you said, being able to be like, yes, I know that guy from wherever. Like there was it wasn't this season because he's been so bad, but there was some Juni Ito most chances created in the Big Five leagues or something at one point last year, and it was like it's like, where did this come from? And it's like we all know where Juni Ito came from because we played this game.
You just reminded me there as well. I've got one of my receipts on me today. For I knew he was the GOAT.
Wow, that is awesome. Atlanta United Barco card for anybody, or jersey for anybody listening.
I also have a River Plate shirt with Barco on the back, so I'm like, I'm barcode in. I
Yeah,
had a
you
super rare,
are.
mate. I was big Barco for ages
I
until
love
he
that.
left America.
Oh man, that's awesome. That's awesome. Wearing it too. Um,
Put it on just for you, Laird.
I
Thought
love it. No, I love it.
we'll get the Barco on.
Jacob said, I think stuff like vaulting cards for bonus XP that people are saying could happen. That's a MLB thing that I agree could happen. That just seems like too much to think about. And stuff like the new XP system, it's a lot of time needed to level up players optimally, etc. Totally agree. Like, it's almost like they want to give people who want to spend endless amounts of time, endless things to do. And it does, at some point, it's going to be a detriment for people who don't want to do that stuff.
Yeah, but that's a choice situation, isn't it? Because like you say, that it's never been so open to anyone with any length of time. Like I know the standard, like if you don't want to spend that much time on Sorare, you could just back a team and then
Yeah.
like slide the odd player in to firm it up if and when you wanted to. But equally, like if you know if you don't want to mess about with collections and XP and whatever, like you can like the absolute opposite of that is just buying single pieces. And if you're composing a 5 single piece team, like if it goes off, it will be very hard to catch you with any other like semblance
Sure.
of like a stack or a collection or something. It could still happen, obviously, it's not a given, but if you've got like if you can do the one thing that Laird struggles to do the most, and that is take a goalkeeper that doesn't come with that defender security blanket with him. If you can do that, and you can get that clean sheet and that clean sheet there together, or a guy like a Grimaldo or something
Yeah.
to fly away, so on and so forth. Like, you don't need to do that. You could just like stick to your guns and find your Mavericks and your standalone guys and dice them around.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we've all said, like there's so many different ways to play the game that just because some people want to spend endless amounts of time figuring out how to optimally use their XP boosts and when to craft cards and which collections to build and which missions to go after, like it's okay not to do that stuff. You could just
But the
enjoy a little bit of it.
Yeah, but the XP thing is a big change, I think, as well, because like the main thing that benefits is people that hold cards. Number one, like even if it is just standalone cards, if you get guys to level 5, 6, all the way up to 10, obviously selling them then it becomes a problem. Compared to like newer versions of the card or different cards that might be scoring similar that don't have that, and it's it kind of just incentivizes. It gives you a good. It gives people who are on the fence perhaps or undecided a good reason to hold in season collections from this year. If the thought was to sell it all into the last bit of demand into the market, recoup cash and go again. Because as much as like, yeah, sure, like, buying new in-season cards, you go back to square one with everyone else when the new season comes in. As we all know, like, it is only half of the game, and if you've had like a good season, you've maybe built a good collection, you've got some high XP, like that is an advantage you want to, it's kind of like getting the most out of your money at that
Yeah.
point for me. Like if I play that for 2 seasons versus 5 in different ways, like the Red collection you've got, it's a great example of how Sorare, the collection, like, it doesn't really matter what happens as long as they're still playing. Like you'll get fun, you'll get use out of them. And I think that change, like whenever I see those types of changes, I'm always really happy. Like I'm so buzzing that I've got level 20s everywhere and level 15 pluses everywhere, or 10 or whatever the level equivalent is now. And I think anyone who's got those cards now really should look at them a bit closer and be thinking, like, is this a guy I should be hanging on to a bit longer term? Is this a guy I could put a wee 2% collection around and focus a wee bit more on like some of those guys that are going to stay with you season on season and getting the most of your money's worth out of them, really.
Have you put in much effort into figuring out when to use your XP that you win?
Nah, I kind of just went and spent a wee bit of it before last weekend's game week. But no, I'm not really thinking about it too scientifically beyond maximising in-season cards right now, if and when possible. But I'm not thinking about cooldown and what my balance is or anything like that, because frankly, I've not got enough where that really needs to come into it. But on the subject, I'm interested to hear what your take, right? Because see, with the way they've done XP, it feels a little bit counterproductive to maybe the original sentiment of it, where we didn't just want a power up where, like, you know, if you only need 2 XP to level up versus 200, like a power up would just take care of that. Whereas you just want to spend only the 2 XP, which you can do now, but you can only spend XP to level up. You can't just add XP as you like. You know, you can't just, like, I'm looking at a card I bought yesterday or whatever, a few days ago, and it's at level 1. And yeah, like, it's maybe less of a problem in the lower levels, but if I can see, like, I've got 500 XP balance, he only needs 600 to go up a level, like, what's stopping me just putting that 500 on and then just waiting for him to organically do his thing whenever that happens? You know?
I totally agree. I was looking at a card that I have. I'll show this here. I have an Augustine Pallavicino that's at level 9. I need 9,643 XP. And the fact that I have to, like, save up 10,000 XP to do this, it's like, I'm never getting to level 10.
Yeah, like, why can't you just give this guy whatever you want right now?
Right.
And just stash it away. And then, like, okay, well, he's up a wee bit more. He plays. You get another wee bit that's loose, so on and so forth. Yeah, that's a much better example than what Ada had ready, so that's great. But yeah,
like, I have 463 available.
Like, a power up is the exact same as this now, or the you know, more valuable. So it felt a wee bit weird to, like, why change to XP, but then it's still, like, you can only use a power up equivalent. You know, you can't just spend your balance or top a guy like that up.
Is it just that they don't want people using it?
I've got no idea.
Like, I would assume that a 10,000 XP, which is effectively what I need for this card, is like, they would rather me hold 10,000 XP and boost one card as opposed to boosting, or excuse me, all of these cards that make it harder for everybody who doesn't have that much XP. I don't know.
Yeah. It just felt weird to me. Like, why is it this way? It feels like, I say, counterintuitive was the way it felt.
I was using my XP to boost cards that I just bought, literally at level 0. Like, I did level 0 to level 1, just because.
Yeah, I didn't mind doing that anymore because it feels less wasty than putting power ups on them, especially with only 3 power up max per card. So yeah, like, powering up early levels feels less, to use an American word, gross. You know, like, leveling up from 1 to 2 with a wee bit of XPs. Yeah, it's not too bad. We can do that.
Yeah, and then you're going into the, like, if you bought the card, if you buy a card today and you boost it today, at least you're going in with 6% instead of 5% for this weekend. I do think what's kind of interesting now that they don't have passive XP. I'm kind of thinking of it from, like, a collection standpoint of, let's say whatever collection you have and you buy, and you mostly only use, let's say, 5 to 8 cards in the collection. Like, you're going to get to a point where those cards are the only ones that get XP. Like, you're going to have, you could have 25 cards in a collection, 8 of them have XP, and then 17 have literally 0 because, like, you never use them, and all your boosts go to the cards that you use. And I feel like from that perspective, it's like, oh, that makes sense. Like, I don't need XP to be growing on cards that I don't use. But then it's like, at some point, one comes up and you're like, oh, I'm going to use that card. And you're like, I've held this card for 8 months and I have 0 XP. And it's like, yep, because you've never used it. And I don't know, maybe that's their way of trying to, like, ensure some parity amongst the user base, that people like us don't have all these level 10 cards just blasting away at 20% on our rares. I don't know. Eddie said, only being able to level up cards with XP and not just add bits and bobs, is it to stop people avoiding cooldown periods? Not check, but if a card levels up on its own, does it have a cooldown? I don't think it has a cooldown if it levels up on its own.
That could be a good point. That's maybe on the money.
Yeah. I don't know. It's like easier to understand, at least, the XP process now. But I almost feel like it would be just as easy to understand if they had kept the old system, but just got rid of that absurd formula that they used.
Yeah. I think as well, see what you're saying about the guys that don't get XP as well. It does, like, it does make so much sense just to have as many throwaway teams listed as you possibly can. If there's any sight of a card that could be used in the next month that's not getting picked in a team, but he will play. Also, with no training, you kind of need to just find competitions you're not in. There's not many of them going around. So it's definitely something, yeah. I think the savvy player will still try. It's kind of like similar to what we're chatting about with a lot of this stuff, where like it doesn't need to be the done thing. It doesn't need to be what everyone does. But like if you're willing to just put that extra wee bit in, there is an extra wee, it will come back to help you maybe or probably at some point. So
it's funny. I was thinking of the playing like the DNP, basically the DNP lineup, but with like one player in it, which we used to do in training, and you'd get a few more points. Going back to this Pallavicino card, like if I put this in a lineup with one player playing, he's going to get 5 to 10 XP, and then I'll only be 9,633 points away. And it's almost like not even worth the time anymore to do like a 4 DNP lineup in any competition, because you could make the argument it adds up, but like it just takes so long for something like that to add up on a card that's like on a higher level that I haven't done any like half lineups just for XP. I don't think.
I've got a few. I've normally got like 3 out in a game week or so. And it's, just for why nots.
I'm pretty sure I did it this game week. Now that as soon as I said that out loud, I was like, I definitely did it. I did it in this lineup right here. I had 2 DNPs, and Mealing probably won't even play.
Yeah, why not?
That's like, why not? Yeah.
Go get that XP.
Pallavicino will retire before you can level him up. I mean, I won 1,000 rare XP last game week. So if I just held that and did it again for 9 more game weeks, then I'll be fine.
Yeah, I believe in you.
Yeah. Oh, Mealing starts. Look at that. More XP.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I quite surprised myself with how much I got into MLS in season, and because I was like, as you know, I was quite jaded from MLS, like just the way things have went and whatever.
Sure.
But like, I was so surprised at, and I think the same's happening in JNK from conversations I'm seeing and being a part of. But I think like for as much as in season is like where the money is and where the better rewards are for the most part, and yes, there is a premium on in season to classic, but I still think there's a huge knowledge edge to be had with all these leagues. I think that's probably stating the obvious at this point for anyone, especially anyone that's watched MLS for the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Like if you go into it not really knowing players and stuff like that, Jesus, did you get a shock for the last couple of weeks? Not even saying that anyone with knowledge was protected in any way, because it's just that crazy. But I found it dead easy and it's to Sorare's testament, the way the cards look, all the promotions they've done, the competitions, even just the allure of the hot streak thing. That was enough for me to get a goalkeeper. I would not have done it without that. And yeah, I've quite surprised myself with how ready, willing, and able I was just to dive into it.
Well, it's like once you make the decision, there's no going back. And so like you kind of have to go all in once you do. I will say that, and I'm no stranger to jumping into leagues I know nothing about, but the number of
it's kind of your special move at this point.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. It's like literally my strategy. But I feel like I'm willing to jump in to leagues I know nothing about if I know people who know about those leagues. Like if I have access to people I know can help, I'll do it. But the number of people I saw who like clearly jumped in MLS who had no idea and clearly no access to anyone that knew. And they were like, here's my lineup. Here are the cards I bought. Oh, I really like I'm going to throw somebody on the bus, so I won't even use an example. Whatever collection. I think they're going to be really good this year. And it's like, I don't think you know anything about MLS, and this is going to end very, very badly. But hey, I hope you're having fun and good luck. And I can just think of everyone who is like an expert of a specific league. Like I'm not even an MLS expert, but I feel like I know enough. And I talk to people who certainly know a lot, but it's all the people who are like experts in like the J League and the K League and the Austrian Bundesliga who are like, looking at all of us buying cards at the beginning and are just like, oh, you are dead. And but we're just like, let's go.
Let's get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, well, some of the prices early doors were kind of contender reminiscent, weren't they, from when we got, the new European season launch or whatever. But NYC are crap, obviously. But I was looking at some of the, man, these guys are all still cheap. You know what I mean? Like, who are we kidding on here? They'll still win a couple of games this year, They'll still be all right. And that's one of the good things about MLS as well, is like the parity of like, really, there's no squad that's, except for like one or two, and some of them have been kind of memes for a while, and then they get all right, and then they go crap again or whatever. But really, like every team has a story, has a reason to be like, oh, they could be all right, this year because they didn't sack their manager or they did buy somebody or whatever it might be, Like San Jose this year, like honestly, for as long as I have been breathing, San Jose have been like a joke of a team in MLS, like absolute terrible. So were Houston for a long time, of course, until recently, but they have started so good, San Jose, like, and it just shows you go and get Big Brucey in, and you go and let him sign whoever he wants across that league, and he just finds a way to win football matches. And nothing MLS, like San Jose I think some of the players were quite punchy. Like the goalkeeper was never really too cheap. Espinosa, I think, always had a bit of a premium.
Yeah.
But after the first couple of games, now they're right up. And if you got one of those teams early, like MLS, it's not quite like I'm kind of running myself into a corner. I don't really know what I'm talking about anymore. But I see so many of the prices looked so appealing. I find that if you were willing to put a wee bit of graft in, like it's going to be a lot of fun to follow along with this year. And I'm surprised at how I found myself in here again, despite thinking I'm not going to touch it.
I think what surprised me the most about the prices early doors was the reaction of, I guess it was, who was on with me? It was Sean and who else did I have on? Deke,
Sean, Harry.
Maybe it was Keith, Deke, and Harry, but I did one with Sean too.
There was like a few ensembles that week,
Hold on, I got to look back.
Harry, Sean, and Gator and Deke were definitely the composite pieces in different forms.
All right, it was definitely Sean and Deke. Though that was okay. So in that one, when we looked at the prize pools, and Sean just like obliterated them, and he's like, "These are terrible. Nobody's going to play them. Everything about it is bad." And then the cards went on the market, and you would have thought that the prize pools were quadruple what they were based on his reaction. And I think I just saw his reaction and was just like, oh, I guess like card prices won't be that expensive. And like you said, it felt like early doors contender, and they have come down a bit to the point now where it's like, oh, maybe they're actually cheap for what the rewards are and could be. And obviously they have boosted the streak since then. But yeah, we'll see. So I got relegated from D1, so I was particularly upset about MLS last week.
In season?
Yeah,
I got it. It's such a roller coaster. It's going to be interesting to see how it goes. But I think they did a great job on it, because it felt like everything they did for the Premier League and everything else, like early access, they'd learned all the good and all the bad, and I found it dead easy to get swept away with it. Because normally what I've done since getting that NYC collection is every subsequent year I've just filled in the gaps so that I've still got like the starting 11, so I can still pick a team.
Sure.
But this is the first year that I've started buying like duplicates just to play for the in-season dynamic, of course. And normally that's the sort of thing. I know they've changed collection bonus now, so buying duplicates is kind of in vogue now. But before those two changes, especially the change to MLS for in-season, buying a secondary copy of a guy was just not something I was up for at all, in-season classic or whatever. I didn't care. But all of a sudden now I've got 3 Sean Johnsons from an old collection, and I'm buying, I got another Maxi Morales. I now own 2 Maxis, which just feels great, Feels like that's going to definitely not be something I regret in the near future. It'll probably be fine. But yeah, here we are. I've got duplicates of cards and bought more into a league that I thought I was done with.
Right. Firstly, Maxi Morales is going to score 100 this weekend.
I heard you saying, so I knew the Revs was a good game this week, right? For a few different reasons I won't bore anyone with, right? But I heard you saying that earlier this week. and I was like, I need to buy him now. I need to buy him for this weekend because that just will happen, and I won't have him in my team. So now I've bought him. Probably won't happen now. So sorry, everyone else.
It's happening. It's happening.
Oh, good.
There's nothing you can do to stop that from happening.
How
Just like
shit is Carlos Hill now? It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Maxi Morales is greater than Carlos Hill.
This weekend, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Yeah.
It's so good, man.
You have anything else? I kind of have to get going myself, actually.
Yeah, well, I didn't really know what we were going to talk about. I seen the post and I thought, right, let me just try and live in that headspace.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not too sure what we did talk about.
That's what happened. It's Sorare Andrews. That's what happens.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Cool.
I feel like I lived up to the billing. Honorary Andrew, done my job.
Yeah. It's not like anybody came here and got a show and they were like, this is not what I...
Mate, I've been dying to come back on here for about a week or two to talk to you. What was this? Oh, there was some stuff you two were going on about with food and whatever. I won't keep you because I know you need to go. But I was going to... I can't remember what it was, but it was something I wanted to come back to you on.
In fairness, the last food conversation on this channel was with Harry.
It wasn't it? Oh, was it something to do with chocolate, I wonder? Oh, I can't remember. But there was a few things you were saying. Oh, do you know, I've been sending you that Irish guy on TikTok. I've sent you a few of his things. And there was one of the things I sent you is because... Oh, that's what it was. Oh, damn it. You guys make this. I'll get this thought out and then we can shoot. But you guys slag UK stuff, right? For like how basic and how obvious like names are. You know, like that's a thing, right? And I've not got. I wanted to bring a prop, and I wanted to give you a taste of your own medicine, right? Can I show you an image?
Of course.
Yeah, let's do a screen share, right?
Do you want to hold this for next week and just come back with Andy?
No, Andy's got the internet, I'm sure, where he lives. Yeah. You'll see it. Internet's not just a work thing for Andy, is it? Name this container.
The container?
Yep.
Do
you don't know where Ibina is? I take it now.
Like, it's a carton.
But what do you guys normally call it?
A box?
Juice box. That's
Juice
what
box?
I hear on.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I hear. So anyway, it's a carton. It's a carton of juice.
I
won't have this juice box malarkey. And you guys are so crazy and inventive with names.
So had I seen that in like a pack of 6, I would have called it a juice box. Absolutely. I thought it looked much bigger, and I was like, oh, it's a cart, like
a carton of milk.
Hold on. While we're here sharing, you know what it was missing? The straw.
Ah, yes. Juice box.
But yeah, these are juice boxes. Yeah.
It's a carton of juice.
So you're guilty as charged.
Yeah. There was another one as well, but that was the first one that came back to me because I wanted to bring a prop and go, give me this. I'll remember what it is. I'll write it down for next time.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you everybody for coming. If you could please like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Shout out to this guy right here. Take a quick moment when you're done with this show. Go over to Quinny 3001. Subscribe to that channel. Become a member. I've been a member for, it was like well over 3 years. Well,
a long time. One of the first members.
I mean, I was trying to decide if I was closer to 3 years or 4 years. Now I'm going to look
closer to 4, I'd say.
I never know where to. Oh, here we go. 3 years, 4 months, 11 days.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyway, thanks everybody. Enjoy your juice boxes and don't forget to go outside.
Welcome to the Sorare Andrews Show, where we talk fantasy football, but you never know. We'll start with the game, but we'll soon go astray on topic discussions as we play. We'll analyze the teams, the formation and goals, but in no time we'll dive pressing to all the roles, talking about our favorite foods and the shows we've seen. show.